Government Plan International enter into Youth Women Empowerment Agreement. Authorities in a will launch rice harvesting amid increase in food production. Traders affected by custom market fire are putting up makeshift structures to resume businesses. Good afternoon and welcome to SSBC News, coming to you live from Juba. My name is Jacqueline Perino. The governor of Western Equatorial State, James Ataib, stresses that his state communities have accepted to live in peace and harmony to allow sustainable development. Governor James confirmed this while briefing the Vice President for Economic Cluster, Dr. James Wani Iga, on the security situation in Yambio.
To convey my sincerely congratulations message to him for reappointment, winning the trust of His Excellency the President, and the meeting was very fruitful, in which the message was passed on behalf of the people and the government of Western Equatoria, and also on behalf of the SPLM as the ruling party in Western Equatoria. All these messages was conveyed to him, and he responded positively, and he also extended his warm greetings back to the people of Western.
Central Equatorial authorities have raised numerous challenges affecting the provision of medical and educational services, calling for swift intervention from the national government. Governor Emmanuel Adil Anthony highlighted these concerns while briefing the Vice President for the Service Cluster, Josephine Joseph Lago, on the state of service delivery. The meeting underscored the need to improve the health sector and strengthen the learning environment to ensure that children across Central Equatoria have access to quality education. The discussions also covered the implementation of the peace agreement and the country's preparations ahead of the upcoming elections.
I've also discussed with her some of the challenges facing the service delivery cluster in Central Equatorial States in terms of education, health. You will recall that health, which is life, is very, very important in our society. So in Central Equatorial State, we have quite a very big number of our facilities which require rehabilitation, whether be it primary health care centers or hospitals, more important supply of drugs, and even medical practitioners that need to be rolled out. And then school infrastructure in terms of buildings, so that we have conducive environment for our children to go to school. Finally, we have also agreed that as partners to the agreement, because she's the chairperson of SOA, we have to work in collegial manner as we move towards the elections, and this needs us to work together with all our parties in the agreement, so that we move the country to election and we have peaceful elections.
Government and Plan International South Sudan have entered into a major youth empowerment agreement. The signing, witnessed by the Vice President for Gender and Youth Cluster, Rebecca Nyandeng Dimabur, focuses on capacity building, governance, peace building, and inclusive economic empowerment for young people. Paul Lusato, Country Director of Plan International South Sudan, acknowledges the transformative role of women and youth in the nation building, stating that they are not only beneficiaries of change but drivers of it. Nyandeng's Deputy Executive Director, David Talundeng, says the MOU aims to strengthen collaboration with young people and women in education towards empowering their communities. Plan International, a global humanitarian and development organization operating in 6 states across the country, works to advance children's rights and promote equality for girls.
Marks a significant milestone in our collective journey to empower the women and the youth of South Sudan. Plan International South Sudan is honored to have signed a memorandum of understanding with the Office of the Vice President, Gender and the Youth Cluster. This strategic partnership underscores our shared commitment to advancing gender equality, youth leadership, and meaningful participation in shaping the future of this nation. Through this collaboration, through the MOU which we have just signed, we will strengthen women and youth leadership and governance at all levels. We will promote advocacy and civic engagement, ensuring young people's voices are heard in decision making.
This MOU aims to strengthen our partnership and collaborations in areas of youth empowerment, women empowerment, support to inclusive education, as well as peace-building initiatives. As we are aware, as people in the government of South Sudan, our young people are the backbone of our economy, and the Office of Vice President of the government through our nine ministries like Ministry of Youth and Sports, Ministry of Gender will work together with Plan International to ensure that activities read out within the MOU will be.
Vice President for the Infrastructure Cluster, Taban Dengai, and the UNMIS Deputy Special Representative of the Secretary General for Political Affairs, Graham Maitland, have engaged in extensive discussions on advancing the implementation of the revitalized peace agreement. Their talks also covered the ongoing downsizing
and important work to be done to prepare for the end of this interim transition period, and we understood also that there would be elections at the end of this period. Secondly, also to discuss the ongoing efforts with respect to the contingency plan, the liquidity situation facing UNMIS, seeking also the support and the cooperation of the government to allow us to continue with this ongoing effort to make the necessary reductions so that we are in a position early next year, obviously, to continue implementation of the mandate, in particular the remaining tasks that would need to be done leading to the end of the interim period. If there's election, obviously the mission will play an important role to support all of these. And
His Excellency, of course, reiterated that there is a goodwill from the President and the SPLM party to engage with other political stakeholders as the country prepares for 2026 elections. Otherwise, there is no way we can reach elections if we don't dialogue. So it is a good step, and His Excellency assured the UNMIS and the entire international community that the government of South Sudan is working around the clock to ensure that the remaining provisions of the agreement are implemented timely so that the country goes for election.
Stakeholders have engaged in the discussions on fostering the activities of the Commission for Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration, DDR. The discussions drew the two arms of the government that include executive and legislative. Presiding over the event, the chairperson of the National Transitional Committee, Kwalmanyang Jok, emphasizes the importance of peace and stability as a catalyst for economic and political stability of the country. The chairperson of Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Commission, Ayuen Alier, described the commission as a major pillar of security sector reforms, calling on the government to support the commission to deliver the needed services such as transformation of the ex-combatants.
The skills on how to run our own businesses. That is a major problem that we need to address. We need to build a very strong army. We need to give our people skills and educate them. Let them understand that even the business can reward you better than being in the army.
DDR in other ministries is being considered to be a UN thing, and that's where the challenge starts. It is ours. It is one of the major pillars of security sector reform. And why we made this one is to enlighten ourselves that DDR is our child. It is not any other person's child.
I must emphasize that this is a nationally owned process. Honorable Ministers, the African Union responded to your request and is here to support. And we depend on you to make the right decisions for peace, security, stability, justice, and freedom to prevail in South Sudan.
The ruling party continues to engage with the political opposition parties in fostering national consensus ahead of the country's general elections. Leila Usman reports.
Officials on Monday met SPLM Secretary General Dr. Paul Kordit at the SPLM Secretariat in Juba. The discussion centered on the implementation of the revitalized peace agreement and the need to ensure that national elections take place by the end of the transitional period in December 2026. Speaking to the press after the meeting, Dr. Paul Kordit reaffirms the SPLM's commitment to peace building and urges citizens to embrace healing, reconciliation, and forgiveness as the country moves towards elections. He emphasizes the importance of an inclusive approach to usher in an era of unity and national healing.
The SPLM warmly and highly welcome the decision by Democratic Forum and by extension the agenda parties that they do not have a candidate for presidency except His Excellency President Salva Kiir Mayardit. This is welcome.
The chairperson of the Democratic Forum and Minister of Cabinet Affairs, Dr. Martin Elialomoro, describes the meeting as fruitful. He reiterates the Democratic Forum's position not to field a presidential candidate in the upcoming elections, saying the group continues to support President Salva Kiir Mayardit.
In this respect, we as the Democratic Forum will not advance a candidate because our candidate is President Salva for the presidency, as we've always done. We believe he has the wisdom to build our national security sector.
The presidential envoy for the Great Lakes region, Dr. James Pitia Morgan, says his visit comes at a critical moment as the country moves towards renewed stability and political direction. Dr. Morgan notes that President Kiir has consistently assured the nation that elections will be conducted in accordance with the SPLM manifesto and the aspirations of the people.
And these elections will take place as our president has all the time assured the people of this country that the manifesto of our movement, the SPLM, was the manifesto of the democracy.
In a related development, the SPLM chairperson and governor of Western Equatorial State, James Altaib Jazz, also briefs the party leadership on issues affecting the state, with particular focus on preparations for the 2026 general elections. Governor Altaib says the people of Western Equatorial State and the SPLM leadership in the state strongly support timely elections with no extensions or postponements beyond 2026.
We shared with him important concerns for the state and for the nation in general, and more specifically about the election, the expected election in the upcoming 2026. And he gave us an assurance that election is paramount and election is the way out from the challenges and the difficulties the country is facing.
We are going for a short break, and when we come back, we'll look into more news stories. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you are watching SSBC's Lunchtime News. The Minister of Cabinet Affairs, Dr. Martin Elia Lomoro, urges the political parties in the country to engage in a political dialogue to address outstanding issues in the implementation of the 2018 peace agreement. The minister, in a meeting with Graham Maitland, the Deputy Special Representative of the UN Secretary General, calls on the international community to support the country towards achieving its democratic elections.
The need for a political dialogue among all of the stakeholders, the signatories, to resolve all of the issues that need to be resolved to take the country forward, obviously, towards the end of the transition, particularly if there's an election, the steps that would need to be taken. We've also offered our own technical expertise ready to help the decision makers to understand what would be the feasibility of the options that may be under consideration in the political dialogue. So overall a good discussion, a bit further clarity, and we of course continue to encourage this need for a political dialogue that includes all of the stakeholders, all of the political leaders, the parties, the signatories to the agreement, to come to a large consensus on.
General education authorities, with support from the World Bank and Windel Trust International, have rolled out the accelerated secondary education textbooks to benefit more than 3,000 teachers and school dropouts. SSBC's Edward Stephen reports.
Quality education and ensuring nobody is left behind. The Ministry of General Education and Instruction has received newly published school books which would be used by alternative education to teach more than thousands of uncertified teachers and school dropouts across the country. Addressing the gathering during the launch, the Minister for General Education and Instruction, Dr. Kuyok Abolkuyok, said the program is going to upgrade thousands of teachers and school dropouts of different categories, including locals and refugees in the country.
We are proud to report that a total of 3,433 learners, including 1,193 female learners, are now enrolled across 58 ASEP centers nationwide. Enrollment is ongoing until a target of 4,000 teachers who do not have secondary education qualification is achieved. The program is in line with the directive of His Excellency the President. His Excellency General Salva Kiir Mayardit is committed to transforming education in South Sudan.
Representing the World Bank as a funding partner, Viola Riak said the ASEP program targets special groups of learners, especially women, appreciating the ministry for introducing a program which would leave nobody behind in education.
The project has targets that I would like to highlight. One of them is the affirmative action for ensuring that 35% of women are able to be trained to become teachers. And that also falls under ASEP, that we need, at the end, 35% of the learners must be female learners.
As the implementing partner, the Deputy Country Director for Windel Trust International, Eldino Sakondo, described the ASEP program as innovative, affirming their commitment to produce more textbooks to cover the remaining gap of the syllabus.
ASEP, or Accelerated Secondary Education Program, is a signature program of the ministry. A very innovative program to address a problem that we have in the country. And the problem is no qualified teachers in the primary schools, or very few, as we have the statistics. So we have been working together with the ministry to find a solution to this problem.
According to the minister, the program is in line to implement the president's call for the provision of quality and equal education opportunities for every citizen in the country. Edward Stephen, SSBC News.
The government continued to intensify efforts towards addressing the issue of the ghost names in public institutions by introducing digital systems. Maimuna Adam has a report voiced by Hokoth.
Minister of Public Service and Human Resource Development, Dr. Bishop, and his accompanying delegation conducted a field visit in Juba to 5 centers for the ongoing biometric registration and counting process for public sector employees in the Ministries of Finance and Foreign Affairs, the Cabinet, and other entities. In a statement to SSBC shortly after the field visit, Minister Dr. Bishop explains the process aimed to identify the public employees, identify the fixtures name on the government payroll, and determine the number of the pensioners.
This system, we want 2 things. First, we want to eliminate the ghost names, if they are there. And secondly, we want to know those who are aging, going to retirement, so that we take out their names in the payroll, so that we'll give them the new arrangement for retirement. So these are 2 things these are 2 aims that we are applying this system.
Meanwhile, Director General in the Ministry of Public Service, Abraham Makur Mangok, states the biometric registration is an important step towards strengthening public service management and ensuring the integrity of the salaries.
So we thought appropriate that we do this headcount and biometric registration so that the Republic is able to know all the workforce that it has, from the national, the states, including even the organized forces, for our planning, most especially the budget.
On his part, Program Director, Public Finance, Management and Institutional Project, Maxwell Malingsok, explains that the process aims to identify the financial management system for registering employees in the government sector through the Ministry of Civil Service.
Part is to do with financial management. And that financial management is a system, we call it integrated financial management system. That one is the system that is used by the Minister of Finance. And then this part of institutional strengthening is led by the Ministry of Public Service and Human Resources.
The National Minister of Roads and Bridges, Peter Lamboth, and the Djiboutian Ambassador to South Sudan, Hassan Roble Mahmoud, have discussed cooperation between Juba and Djibouti through the Regional Corridor Authority of Djibouti, Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Uganda, DESO. Ambassador Hassan Mahmoud states that the agreement for the establishment of DESO Corridor Authority is expected to be signed this month.
This corridor is called the DESO corridor. We are discussing with the Honorable Minister how we can enhance and implement the remaining issue for these corridors. And we're highlighting also the importance working as a Horn of African, how we can connect each other, how we can develop our corridors connecting among us. We highlighted also the importance of the development of the infrastructure which link between the Horn of Africa.
Djibouti will inform the other member countries on the signing date, which is expected within this year before people move to next year. This is the good news to South Sudan, to Djibouti, to Ethiopia, and to Uganda. So we look forward soon that signing will happen. And the good part on it is that African Development Bank made pledges already on the development of that corridor. And so the development partners are already expressing interest before we could even sign.
This corridor is calling the...
Traders affected by the custom market fire are beginning to rebuild, putting up makeshift structures to resume their businesses. Still counting their losses, many are appealing to support from the government and well-wishers. SSBC's Mathiang Joseph reports.
Monday, December 1st, 2025, at around 6 p.m., a devastating fire swept through Custom Market, destroying shops and stalls, leaving the area covered in hatches and twisted iron sheets. Traders reported losses worth millions. The following day, President Kiir ordered an immediate investigation into the root causes of the fire and directed that support be provided to the victims, raising hopes for recovery. This week, traders began setting up temporary structures as a first step towards recovery. Women who make up the majority of traders were among the hardest hit and continue to appeal for assistance to restart their businesses during a visit to the market on behalf of the First Lady Mary Ayan Mayardit Abu Gervais Makwach, a board member of Concern for Women and Children, expresses solidarity with the affected traders.
لكن أنا بقول لكم أنا ما دفن الرجل أنا عندنا أبو تنا اسمه توصل فكير ما يردد وبواقف معنا بقوة ترابا وبسايد أنا عندنا أمة ماما يندد أمة بيسيبوا يالتوتا الجنوب كده جنا يالتنا ما بيطلع شماشين يالتنا ما بيطلع مجرمين ماما يندد بيسايد يالتنا أنا برجع دفع من سكول فيس وكاستم ده برجع وقف بكراتو مرة يهوب بيسهر ليل ونهار بيفكر إنه يربي جناه بشنو بيفكر إنه راجل والقاعد في بيت ما عنده شغل يأكل شنو ويتو قدرتوا يا نسوان جنوب السودان قدرتوا تشتغلوا لصغير وكبير إحنا كلنا متأسفين بالحاجة اللي حصل.
Several women who lost their goods say government intervention is urgently needed, noting that custom market is essential for sustaining their families and their livelihoods.
جنوب السودان كان يطلع ده ما طلع من إيدة الرجال طلع من إيدة النسوان إذا كان قال النسوان ده
ولدنا في تاب لا ده حصلنا ربا في تاب وإيالتنا في تاب يا جماعة سوق تانيو كرندا يا رجال تانا أنا تبانين إتا بيجا في سوق إتا بيجا سيتا بشيلو كدرة لإيام تيرزان كمان وديلا أنا كله 5 دقيقة كله مرة بودي صوتو أسان الناس دولة كله بازما إبن مناسبة البارة.
In response, Juba City Council says it has begun registering the names of those affected to facilitate possible support. Reporting for SSBC News, Mathiang Joseph, Juba.
The Deputy Governor of Northern Bahar Ghazal State, Tong Lualayat, has launched the harvesting of the 100 awil rice fadans under the auspices of the First Lady Mary Ayan Mayardit in Basin 14. The initiative, introduced by the First Lady in May 2025, was implemented by Governor Simon Obermawood and supervised by Engineer Awon Denkwad. Deputy Governor Tong Lualayat congratulated the First Lady for the successful harvest and reaffirmed the government's commitment to expanding farming activities to combat hunger. The State Minister of Peacebuilding, Peter Kwadud, highlighted the importance of food security in promoting peace and stability, urging all farmers to intensify efforts to boost production.
Today we have come to our rice scheme to do an official launching of the harvesting our wool rice scheme. The farm belongs to Mama Ayan Mayardit, and we also need every South Sudanese that have money to come and do the farming here, because the land is very vast and the internal roads are rehabilitated, and because whenever they come here and do farming activities, they will create jobs to our people, to the people of Northern Bahar Ghazal State. So we are very happy with that. We are encouraging everybody to come and do the farming here.
It is a great honor and privilege today to announce, as a minister concerned, to the investors of the whole world and Africa, that whoever feel like to come to Northern Bahar Ghazal State, we have a fertile land. We have almost 11,000 fedans as a rice field.
And I'm touched and feel secure. Why? Because what human person need, one of the needs is now being met. We need food, we need security, we need health. All these are now
Medical sources are attributing the rising cases of mental health conditions and gender-based violence to drug abuse among the youth. They are calling for stronger awareness efforts to prevent further deteriorating among the younger generation. SSBC's Dorwall reports from WOW.
Mental health conditions often show through unusual behavior that is hard to ignore. Many sources say these conditions frequently stem from drug addiction and other harmful behaviors. Such addiction can lead to loss of self-confidence and, in severe cases, psychosis. The National Ministry of Health continues to equip mental health units and expand access to counseling and essential medication. Dr. Tong Longar, Director of Mental Health at Juba Teaching Hospital, says many families with chronically ill relatives often feel neglected and fear the cost of effectiveness of treatment. She explains that diagnosis depends on the symptoms presented, which may require counseling, medication, or both.
العيان عندنا بيجينا بأعراض متفاوتة. في زول بيجي بيشتكي إنه ما بينوم كويس، ما بياكل كويس، أموره ما ماشي كويس، زهجان. في زول بيجيبوه أهله إنه هو ذاته ما عارف إنه هو عيان ولا ما عيان، وفي اللي بيجينا عريان أصلا وماشي. إحنا بنقول للناس الزول مما يكون عنده عرض حاسس إنه هو ما قادر يتعامل معاه يجينا في المستشفى. ما كل العلاج بالدواء، في علاج بالكلام، في علاج بالحبوب بس إنه الحالة وصلت وين.
She urges individuals to seek help immediately when symptoms appear, noting that early treatment reduced long-term impact and improvements recovery. She also highlighted successful cases among patients who followed their treatment plans.
فإحنا بنقول للناس كل ما جيتونا بدري كل ما كان العلاج أحسن ونتائجه أحسن. قدرنا نرجع ناس كثيرين لمدارسهم ولأسرهم ولعوائلهم وكده، لأنه أول ما ياخذوا دواء بيبقوا كويسين، ولما يبقوا كويسين بيرجعوا يشتغلوا.
Dr. Atong stressed that untreated mental illness poses risk to the patient, the family, and the community, urging close monitoring and timely treatment.
عندنا حاجة اسمها وحدات آمنة أو بيسموه secure cells. السكيور سيلز ده بيكون فوق وبيكون مبني بطريقة معينة، عنده درابزين بيكون فيه سكيورتي بطريقة معينة، لأنه المريض النفسي ده ممكن يقتل زول. انت ما تقدر تجيبه في المستشفى عشان هو يمشي، ما هو في النهايه كده زول اخترق القانون، فهو المفروض يتحبس. لكن احنا ما بنقوم نحبسه مع الناس، بنحبسه في المستشفى، بنديه علاج عشان يكون كويس. المريض النفسي ده ممكن يبدا خطر على نفسه، في ناس بيقتلوا روحه بينتحروا. ده بيحتاج يتخطى في حاجات اسمها وحدات امنه او security cells.
Dorwal Dorjok, SSBC.
Police have begun tightening security measures ahead of the festive season. The Inspector General of Police, General Saeed Chawlom, chaired a joint meeting with Juba City Council to enhance cooperation in tackling criminal activities across the city. In a media statement, Lual Joseph Deng, the Deputy Mayor for Social Services, commended the organized forces for their continued efforts in protecting citizens and urged the public to cooperate with security agencies in addressing unlawful activities.
meeting بسيط مع IGP meeting أمني لأن نشوف حالة بتاعت البلد في الفترة بتاعت العيد. إحنا نقدر نعمل تجهيزاتنا عشان فترة الأعياد بيحصل حاجة انفلاتات، بيحصل حوادث وحاجات كثيرة. فالميتنج ده الغرض منه احنا عايزين نقدر نجهز نفسنا ونحط الاحتياطات للاشياء اللي ممكن يحصل في فترة بتاعت الأعياد. وممكن لاحظنا في الفترات اللي فاتت كل ما يكون في زمن العيد بيحصل حاجات كثير، يعني يكون في حوادث المرورية في الشوارع عشان الزحمة والحركة بيكون كثير. برضه في بيحصل السرقات، في ناس بينتهزوا الفرصة بيحاولوا يخشوا لبيوت الناس.
That brings us to the end of our news for this afternoon. On behalf of my colleagues in the News and Current Affairs Desk and the Control Room, I'm Jacqueline Perino, wishing you a nice time.